To welcome all the devotees, visiting guests, members and well-wishers of Western Atlanta. If there is any devotees who have come for the first time here, any congregation or anybody from anywhere, any part of the world, for the first time? Okay. So now we'll begin with the class. We'll have a class from Bhagavad Gita class, and the class will be given by His Grace Shashtakrit Prabhu. He's a very scholarly person and long time serving Srila Prabhupada in his movement through the book distribution and many other services in his special. Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 12, text 5, chapter entitled Devotional Service. It's interesting, Prabhupada translated this word bhakti as devotional service, not just devotion. Because without service there is no question of love. So Prabhupada calls it devotional service. So I'll read the Sanskrit translation and purport. Klesho adhikataras tesham avyakta sakta chetasam avyakta hi gatir dukkham devadivi deha vadivir avapyate. Translation: for those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. Purport: the group of transcendentalists who follow the path of inconceivable, unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Supreme Lord are called Jnana Yogis, and persons who are in full Krishna consciousness engaged in devotional service to the Lord are called Bhakti Yogis. Now here, the difference between Jnana Yoga and Bhakti Yoga is definitely expressed. The process of Jnana Yoga, although ultimately bringing one to the same goal, is very troublesome. Whereas the path of Bhakti Yoga, the process of being in direct service to the Supreme Lord, Personality of Godhead, is easier and natural for the embodied soul. The individual soul is embodied since time immemorial. It is very difficult for him to simply theoretically understand that he is not the body. Therefore, the Bhakti Yogi accepts the deity of Krishna as worshipable because there is some bodily conception fixed in the mind, which can thus be applied. Of course, worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in His form within the temple is not idol worship. There is evidence in Vedic literature that worship may be saguna or nirguna of the Supreme possessing or not possessing attributes. Worship of the deity in the temple is saguna worship. For the Lord is represented by material qualities, but the form of the Lord, though represented by material qualities such as stone, wood or oil, paint, is not actually material. That is the absolute nature of the Supreme Lord. A crude example may be given here. We may find some mailboxes on the street, and if we post our letters in those boxes, they will naturally go to their destination without difficulty.
But any old box or an imitation we may find somewhere, but which is not authorized by the post office, will not do the work. Similarly, God has an authorized representation in the deity form, which is called Archa Vigraha. This Archa Vigraha is an incarnation of the Supreme Lord. God will accept service through that form. The Lord is omnipotent, all-powerful. Therefore, by His incarnation as Archa Vigraha, He can accept the service of the devotee, just to make it convenient for the man in conditional life. Om Jnana Timrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Militamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutle Shrimate Devamrita Swamini Namine. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutle Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pasyatya Destarane. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Saraswati Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama. So Krishna is speaking here. For those whose minds are attached to unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu compared himself to a gardener. I guess in any devotee can feel like that too. Just like when you're gardening, you have to be careful. You have to be careful about, the weeds and different weather and insects and animals and like that. In spiritual life also, one has to be very careful. But the modern day, we don't have this fear. We're not careful. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, just like a gardener has to be careful in spiritual life also, we can do things that can slow us down. That's why there are regulations. There are things that we don't do because that will slow us down in spiritual life. Like if we're trying to light fire and we keep pouring water, it'll be very hard to, cook. So sense gratification is compared to that. And then there is what is called Vaishnava Aparad. Vaishnava Aparad means offenses to the devotees. Sometimes when we're practicing spiritual life, we're not careful. We make offenses to devotees. So to judge another devotee, to speak bad about another devotee, to gossip, to criticize, these things are very detrimental to spiritual life. And there's another pitfall is Mayavad. Mayavadi philosophy means, we just read, that Mayavadis, they don't have this understanding that the Supreme Lord is a person. The source of everything, Sad Aishwarya Purnam in Sanskrit, means the Supreme Lord is complete with all opulences. So to say that the Supreme Lord doesn't have a form, it doesn't make sense. That means we are saying that the source of everything is lacking something. So this Mayavadi philosophy is also very dangerous. as a dangerous obstacle in spiritual life. It's like the example is given, just like if you have the right bank account number, and even if you're making small deposits, as long as the account number is proper, then it's okay, because it's going to add up. But if we don't have the proper account number, then whatever deposits we're making is all wasted. Similarly, to get a human form of life is very rare, and to come across, to have this eagerness, some enthusiasm for spiritual life, that's also very rare. Because most people, especially in Kali Yuga, we're just like, animals. Like Prabhupada would say, like polished animals. Because what do? Ahara, nidra, bhaya, maitunam cha. Samanya method, pasubir narama. Eating, mating, sleeping and defense. These are all common for all living beings. When we eat in a dining table, the dog eats on the floor, and we fight with like nuclear weapons, and they fight with nails and teeth. They sleep on the floor, we sleep on the bed, and they have sex in the street, and we do it somewhere. So these things are common. The only thing that differentiates a human is to have these questions. So it's very rare to get a human form of life, and to have this inclination towards spiritual life, that's also very rare. So we have to be careful, because we can be cheated. It says that sampradaya vihinam ye mantraste nishpalamata, which means even if we have the right mantra that we are chanting, we are praying, but if it's not given by an authorized teacher, by a bona fide spiritual master, mantraste nishpalamata, which means it will not produce any fruits. So spiritual life is a serious thing. And the problem is, most of the world don't even know who God is. It's interesting. It's funny, because we're trying to love God, but we don't even know who God is. How are we going to love Him? It's just like, and like especially in the gurus from the East, from India nowadays, it's become like a joke. It's like a comedy show or something. When you see a Christian speaking, who is carrying a Bible, a Muslim is teaching, they always carry Quran, they quote from Quran. But the so-called gurus, modern day gurus, and especially now with all this media, WhatsApp and this and that, you get unlimited information, and people are just, scrolling through, because we want like unlimited information. We just want to look like we are smart, we know something. But information is one thing, but if you apply that in our lives, and the realization we get, that's what is important, that's wisdom. So information anyone can have, Like somebody was wearing a t-shirt says, I don't need Google anymore because I just got married. You know what I was talking about. So everybody's got information. But the teachers, the gurus, they claim to be gurus, they don't have any scripture that they're teaching from. We can wear all kinds of fancy jewelry and turban and this and that and speak, but where is the authority? There are three things Vedic scriptures say. Whatever we speak, it has to be backed by guru. Guru means your personal teacher that gives you initiation, that gives you diksha. And sadhu, sadhu means the society of practitioners, Vaishnavas. And Shastra means the scriptures. So whatever we are saying, if it's not backed by any of these three things, or if any one of them disagrees with what you're saying, that means it's not authorized, it's not bona fide. Just like if a lawyer goes to the court, he has to present from the law books, he has to present previous cases. Not just like, oh, Your Honor, my Lord, I think like this is my opinion, immediately case closed. Like that, people don't even know who God is. How can you love Him? Or how can you... Because in the Sanskrit, it says that asama urdhva. Asama urdhva means Krishna's position is, if somebody is claiming to be God, that means there is nobody equal to Him or greater than Him. Asama urdhva. So if there are so many gods, that right away that contradicts that statement. So one of my friends, one of our guests, he was mentioning how his roommate watches videos to understand Indian spirituality. And one of the things he was watching was top 10 gods and goddesses of India. So things like that. But first we have to understand, not everybody in the White House is a president. Not that somebody is a typewriter or receptionist or some valet driver or chef, they're all in the White House, so they're all presidents. No, there is one president. And maybe it's not a good example considering the political situation, but if you happen to know the president, you don't need to flatter the cooks and the mayors and the senators and all these people. Similarly, when we understand who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and then we can fully invest all our energy in loving and serving that person. Otherwise, just anything goes, it's all like sentiment. Therefore, spiritual life is a science. And it's very important who we hear from. We cannot just hear from anyone, any person with like long beard and turban. Not necessarily he has information. Like the joke, there was one speaker with a big beard and everything was speaking, and then everybody was falling asleep in the audience, except for one man in the back who was crying. So the speaker saw that and he felt so encouraged and enthused, and he was speaking and speaking and speaking. So after the class, he walked up to the guest and he says, "Oh, what did I say that impressed you so much? What made you cry? Please tell me." And the guest said, "Oh, I'm sorry, Swamiji, I couldn't hear anything you were saying, you were so far away. But the way with the beard and you were shaking your head, it reminded me of my dead goat. My pet goat passed away recently, so it made me cry in separation because you look just like mine." So like this, we have to be careful. So Sanatana Goswami says that "A Vaishnava Mukadagirnam Putahari Katamratam Sravanam Na Kartavyam Sarpochishta Yathopaya." Sanatana Goswami says that just like milk, it's very nutritious. But if the same milk is touched by the lips of a serpent, of a snake, then you drink the milk and you die. Similarly, the Vedic scriptures, Krishna has given us the Vedic scriptures so we can perfect our lives. But if the Vedic scriptures are interpreted by unauthorized person, and we hear that and we read that, then it's like it creates spiritual death. We get poisoned. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu say, Mayavadi Bhashya Shunile Hai Sarvanas. Anybody who hears from the impersonalists, there are people, especially like, my wife and I distribute books. So when you set up bookstall, you go and meet people, and then you hear all kinds of, philosophy. One nice man, he's a nice man. He was just telling me like, I cannot serve Krishna. I don't mind serving Shiva, but I cannot serve Krishna. I said, why not? He says, because I am Krishna. I'm like, oh God. Because he's an innocent man. He was very nice. He had so much potential, but it's just, because he's reading somewhere, somebody is teaching him that you are Arjuna, you are Krishna, you are this and that. But it's actually, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy, right? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy is called Achinta Beda, Beda Tattva. Basically means yes and no. What's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy? Yes and no. Are we God? Yes and no. We are God in quality, but we can never become God in quantity. Like in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in these beautiful books, one of Krishna's incarnation is called Rishabdev. So Rishabdev, it's mentioned that whenever Rishabdev passed stool, it smelled like jasmine flowers and smelled like roses for like 7 or 8 miles. So Prabhupada would say, if anybody claims to be God, let's do a stool test and then we will find out. And Prabhupada said, if your teeth is falling off, you're going to dentist and you check by an immigration authority and this and that, then you're not the Supreme. Because the Supreme, his form is Satchidananda Vigraha. Krishna's form is full, eternal, full of bliss and full of knowledge. And another symptom, if somebody claims to be God, is that the Supreme is the most beautiful. Like Prabhupada was speaking one time in a Pandal program in Bombay, and he was explaining how Krishna is so beautiful that anybody who sees Krishna, they will faint. They go into ecstatic trance. He's so beautiful, we have no experience. So Prabhupada said, whoever claims to be God and they look ugly, that's the first sign that they're not God. And Prabhupada said, if they look ferocious with a bunch of hair, and Prabhupada said they're not God. So these are things that we need to hear. It's very important to have proper knowledge. It's not just about sentiment. That way, whatever we are investing, whatever time we are giving, whatever energy we are giving, whatever donations we are giving, everything will have value. Otherwise, if we don't have proper knowledge, it's just going to waste our time and energy. And we just get karma. Because any activity that's not directed properly brings back some reactions. Reactions, not only bad reactions are bad, even good reactions are bad. So like the example is given, if a police arrests somebody and they give him a golden handcuff, and the person is protesting, why are you arresting me? So, no, you're lucky, somebody else, we gave him tin handcuffs, so you're a special criminal. But either way, if you're handcuffed, you cannot move. Like that, good karma means, we take birth in a wealthy country, we are educated, we are good looking, we have lots of wealth like this. And bad karma means, we take birth in a poor country and we don't have money, we don't have good looks, and we don't have education. These are some of the symptoms mentioned in the scriptures. But either way, if say like you're Bill Gates or Steve Jobs or whoever we are, imagine like Steve Jobs, he had more money than the US government. At 50 years old, you're given a death notice. Okay, you have to die. It's like so unfair, isn't it? It's like death is like so unfair. It's like somebody invites you and they give you lots of money and lots of jewels and food and clothes and everything. And then they bring a baseball bat or something to smash you on the head. And they blindfold you. And they take you in the car and they open the door in the highway and they kick you out of the car on the side of the road. It's like, who wants such a deal, It's just like... So, good karma means what? All the things are going so nice and it's all Maya, right? It's like a dream. Having a good dream or nightmare, and then everything is going so nice, and then all of a sudden, you're given some notice, okay, you have to die now. So what's the use of such a thing? So the teachings explain, we have to perform nice karma, nishkarma, which means no good or bad reaction. When we serve Krishna, when we do pure bhakti, that does not produce any good or bad reaction. Because in the spiritual world, you cannot exchange good karma. It's like bringing rupees, trying to buy something in America. It doesn't work. So we have to be transcendental. That's what Krishna is teaching Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita. Don't go for any good or bad karma. Live a life, you have to transcend. Because in this world we are always settling for something small, something cheap. And we're always thinking like, if I change this and that, then that'll bring me perfection. Like Prabhupada gives the example, there was a little mice went to the sadhu, went to a saintly person and said, oh, please help, please help. And the sadhu said, oh, what can I do for you? Oh, make me a cat. And the saintly person said, what for? That's not going to help you much. I can help you more than that. So, no, please make me a cat. And then the cat comes back and the saintly person asks, what can I do for you? The dogs are chasing me, make me a dog. And then the saintly person said, just by changing this to that, it's not going to help much. So that's fine, just make me a dog. The dog comes back. What do you want now? Make me a wolf, make me a jackal. All the jackals are chasing me. And the jackal comes back and then says to the saint, make me a tiger, please. And he makes him a tiger and he starts salivating at the saint who wanted to eat him. Like that, in this world, like we think, oh, I'm living in Australia, probably better, America is better. Even in the airports, right? when you're flying to Australia, as soon as you land in Australia, they're promoting San Francisco. When you're for San Francisco, they're promoting Fiji. Like this, they're always saying like, oh, if you just change this, change cars, change jobs, change partners, change countries, change. But the change Krishna is teaching Arjuna, the real thing is, in this material world, whatever it is, it's created in such a way that every one of us have to go through suffering and miseries. You can't change that. That's the inherent nature of the world. Krishna was saying even Krishna's mother and aunt and cousins, they're all suffering. What a crazy place this is. As soon as Krishna was born, the mother has to give him away. And Kunti is praying, oh, after the war of Kurukshetra, there's so many enemies. And the Pandavas are saying, Krishna, Yudhishthira Maharaj is saying to Krishna, you tested us so much that anybody who in the future reads these books, they'll be scared to become your devotee. You have tested us so severely. What have we done to you? And then Krishna says that, Tad Dhanam Shane. How does that verse go? Harishye Tad Dhanam Shane. Anyway, Krishna says, I like somebody, I'll give him all kinds of things. I love someone, I'll take everything away, but I'll give myself to them. So this world, so Krishna says that, whoever we are in this world is not going to become a garden and paradise. The world is what it is. But this is the good thing to understand is it's not our home. We're just visiting here. We're just on a transit launch. Like even in the Bible it says nobody builds homes on bridges. Bridges is just meant to cross from one side to another. Like that, to understand this basic teaching will help us so much, will put us in the right track. Then, when you have just like in Google, if you have the right address, say you're driving to Florida, if you have the right address, even if you're going slow, you will get there eventually. Say if you want to reach Florida, you can in 5 hours, 7 hours. But say if you want to reach there in 3 months, you want to make so many stops, still you will reach there as long as you have the right address. Like that, the basics, we have to know the basics. Otherwise, it's like we're thinking 2 + 2 = 5. Based on that, we're creating so many equations. It's all wrong. If you want to build a World Trade Center and you have not such a good basement, foundation, it's not going to work. Like that, to understand who are we? We're definitely not God. That much we have to understand to start with. Look at the situation we are all in. Definitely God doesn't go through so much anxiety and health problems and job changes and visa issues. It's not God, it is like obvious. We are part of something higher. So if we want to be wholesome, all of us want to be wholesome, and we're not the whole, we're just a part. So we have to find out what we're part of. So by understanding these basics, who are we? We are spirit souls, minute, infinitesimal part and partial of the Supreme Soul. Because if you see this Vedic texts, the yogis have coined phrases that for the soul, the term is Atma. For the Supreme, it's called Paramatma. So the soul and God are the same. Why they have these terms? The Brahman, the soul is called Brahman, the Supreme is called Parabrahman. Like this, there's so many examples are given. There's Ishvara, we're all Ishvara, means controllers to a more or less, to a certain extent. But Krishna is called Parameshwara. So all these terms are there to show us. So we are spiritual beings, and Krishna is the supreme being. And Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita, we are designed, we are created, and it's our duty is to serve Krishna. Actually, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is sorry. Krishna is sorry that people have misunderstood him. Krishna is regretting. Krishna says that Manusim Tanam Asrita. I keep forgetting the beginning of the verses. Anyways, Krishna says that whenever I descend in my human-like form, Avajananti Mam Muda, that's the beginning. Krishna says, Avajananti Mam Muda, Manushim Tanam Asritam, Param Bhavam Ajananto Mama Bhuta Maheshwara. Krishna says, these foolish souls, they misunderstand him to be ordinary, and they don't know his supreme position. Mama Bhuta Maheshwaram, Krishna says. Param Bhavam. These are all amazing terms. Krishna is expressing that the living entities don't understand his supreme position. So by understanding, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu summarized that Jivera Swarupa Hoy Krishnera Nityadas. What is the position of the living entity? The position is Nitya Krishna Das. We are eternal servants of Krishna. And what is a servant supposed to do? Give service. But many times we forget. Many times we forget. Therefore, a devotee is always careful not to become proud. Because it says that even to become proud is actually a sin. There's a story of a watchman. A watchman in a temple, he was guarding the temple, and there was one really big businessman came. He came, and then he actually forgot some valuables and some cash and like this. And then the businessman came back, and the watchman actually handed him over everything back. The businessman was so impressed. He could have easily taken at least a little bit, I would have not even known. So the businessman said, "Can you please come and work for me as my accountant?" This person said, "Are you sure about this? I'm just an ordinary person." He said, "No, please come." So this person became like overseeing all the wealth, and he was so careful that he was saving so much money for the businessman, and even promoted him higher and higher and higher, and became so, it's almost like a partner of the businessman. One day this businessman went to see this person, this friend in the room, ex-watchman. And he was dressed like a watchman. He was standing in the mirror. I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Oh, every now and then I like to remind myself where I came from, so I don't get carried away by all this cash and people respecting me and all the thing." So like that, first snare of Maya is to think we are the body. And the last snare of Maya, the ultimate Maya, is to think that we have become God. So a devotee understands these basic things and try to serve Krishna. Like Prabhupada would often say, like, if you look in the scriptures, a devotee is happy to serve Krishna. And what happens is, in the process, Krishna reciprocates, and Krishna wants to serve his devotee even more. Like there is this story on the Chaitanya Charitamrita, this pastime, how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he went to Sri Rangam temple, and there are all so many Vedic scholars, they're all chanting Vedas, Vedic mantras, in perfect meter. But there was one illiterate Brahmana, he was trying to read Bhagavad Gita, and he had the book upside down, and he was just like looking at the book, and everybody was making fun of him. Everybody was saying, "Oh, how's it going, Brahmana? How's you reading today?" and like this. But he ignored them because he know they're just like teasing him. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, who's Krishna himself, came straight to that Brahmana. He ignored all the so-called Vedic scholars. And he said to the Brahmana, "I can see that you cannot read, but still you're showing ecstatic symptoms. You're crying, you're shivering, and you're so absorbed. Can you explain to me what's going on?" And this priest, this Brahmana, he said, "Actually, my guru knew that I am an illiterate, I cannot read or write like this. Still, at the time of initiation, he instructed me I should read the Bhagavad Gita every day. And I'm making an attempt to follow the instruction of my guru. And in the pages of the Gita, I'm seeing Krishna and Arjuna on the battlefield, just like this painting. This Brahmana was saying, it's not like it's not modern book with paintings and stuff. So the Brahmana was saying like this vision. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked, "Why are you crying?" He said, "The supreme source of everything is become the servant of his servant." Because in America there's no like classless society, right? Everybody is respected. But back in the day in India, still there's a difference. If you're like somebody that's pulling like rickshaw or driving auto rickshaw, and somebody else is a doctor, they discriminate. So Krishna took the menial role of a chariot driver for his devotee. And he was brushing the horses, giving them water. And it's mentioned that in the battlefield, there's no time for them to talk. So the warrior usually kicks the chariot driver in the back. If the warrior wants them to go straight, he kicks him in the back. If the warrior wants the chariot driver to turn right, he kicks him on the right side. Turn left, he kicks him on the left side. So Krishna was happy to be kicked by his devotee. What an amazing mercy, what an amazing relationship. Krishna is so grateful to an insignificant jivatma. It's like the sun trying to be grateful to a little ray, like a little spark, the sun ray. How many sun rays are there? And how big is the sun compared to imagine the sun showing gratitude to this little spark. And Krishna's mother is showing him stick. If you lie, if you eat mud, and if you don't eat, I'll punish you. And Krishna is enjoying that. So Prabhupada would say, we don't want to become God. A devotee becomes greater than God. Can become mother of God, father of God, can become friend of God, can become a lover of God. Because in Vaikuntha, when people are worshipping Narayan, they only know up to Dasya Ras. In the Vaikuntha Loka, when people greet Narayan, everybody knows this is the Supreme, there's no doubt, so they go, Om Namo Narayana. Finish. Nobody tried to tickle him and climb on his back and try to steal his food and like that. You don't see that with Narsimha Leela or, not even in Ramchandra Leela. But Krishna is like the judge, the High Court judge. When he goes home, he's crawling on the ground like an elephant, and then the grandchild is on the back, like beating him with a stick. Like that, Krishna gives us these opportunities to love him in unlimited ways. And Krishna accepts any service. We read in the scriptures, not only from humans. Ahalya, there was a girl who was cursed to become stone. And Ramchandra, there's actually a nice pastime how Ramchandra and Sita, they were in the forest and they didn't have anything on them. And Sita wanted to go on a boat ride. So the boatman is very clever, he's a devotee, so he said to Ramchandra, I cannot let you on board. And Ram said, why not? He said, I heard you stepped on a stone and it became a girl. And the boatman said to Ramchandra that I let you on the boat and you turned the boat into a girl or something. I already have too many daughters. I can't afford to have another one, And then Ram said, no, it won't happen. And then the boatman said, only if you allow me to wash your feet, then you can come on board. So he tricked Ramchandra into doing like Abhishek. So he came on board and they were sailing and sailing. He was such a nice man that Sita was so grateful. She wanted to give something to this boatman. So she took off her only ring she had and gave it to Ram and said, give it to this boatman, please. The boatman said, no, I don't take salary. One boatman don't take salary from another boatman. Ramchandra said, what are you talking about? I'm not a boatman. He said, yes, you are. I'm just helping people cross this little river, but you help people cross the souls, cross the ocean of birth and death. You're the real boatman. So this way he defeated him and worshipped his feet and didn't take any salary. He wanted to do pure devotion. Like that we see, Ahalya was a stone. There were so many vanaras, there were monkeys, they were given service. There was Jatayu, vultures. And like this, throughout the scriptures you see, anybody is welcome to serve Krishna or any of the expansions of Krishna. So Krishna is so kind. So if we do any little service with this proper understanding that we are just eternal servants of Krishna, and we don't serve in the mood like I will become Krishna one day by serving. If there's one last pastime I'll end with, there's one devotee, Raghunath Bhatt, the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Raghunath Bhatt was traveling and in the path he came across this great devotee of Ram. And this person was called Ramdas. And he was constantly chanting Ram, 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 Ram. And Raghunath Bhatt saw him and said, my God, this person has so much love for God. He's always chanting his names. He's so renounced. He doesn't have any possessions. He's humble. He's clean. He doesn't sleep much. So Raghunath Das was really amazed by this person he came across. And Ram Das begged him, oh, you're going to see Lord Chaitanya? Let me also go with you. And Raghunath Bhatt said, okay, please come. It will be nice to have your association. And then he insisted that he will carry the bags of Raghunath Bhatt. So he was carrying the bags and he was chanting and chanting. So when they went to see Lord Chaitanya But Chaitanya was so cordial and loving to Raghunath Bhatt. And he embraced him, he inquired about him, and like this. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showered so much blessings on Raghunath Bhatt. But this Ramdas Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't even want to look at this guy. He didn't even want to look in that direction. And Raghunath Bhatt was confused. What's going on here? Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is present in everyone's heart. He can see that person's motivation. He saw that this person is chanting Ram Ram, but ultimately he wanted to become Ram. So that's considered an offense according to the Vedic scriptures. It's one of the offenses. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was disgusted with this person because it's all about intention, right? Even if somebody does something for us and they're messing up and they're sloppy and they didn't do a good job, but they really wanted to try, that's really pleasing. But if somebody is expert and they're doing like all kinds of things, but you know they're a crook inside, they have all this motivation to cheat you, then you reject all the things they did. Like that, it's all about intention. So a devotee wants to serve unconditionally. There's no motivation. It's not like God is an order supplier. It's like you go to the restaurant and they have like a bell boy, you know. You ring the bell every time they come running to serve. It's not like that. When Bhakta Prahalad, he met with Narsimhadev, he had darshan of Narsimhadev. Narsimhadev offered him, please ask anything you want. Then Prahlad said, please, my Lord, I come from a demoniac background, please don't tempt me. I don't have good samskaras. You can look at my father, my uncle, my ancestors. So he said, I don't want to be a vanik, I don't want to be a businessman. Okay, I pray, then you give me this, and then I will do this, and then back and forth, back and forth. A devotee doesn't want anything. And then Narsimhadev tells him, okay, if you really want to please me, right? Prahlad said, yes, yes, of course. Then ask me something. Then that will please me. And then Prahlad says, okay, if you really insist, please forgive my demoniac father. This is one of the qualities of a saintly person. It's easy to love your friends and hate your enemies. It doesn't take a saint to do that. But Prahlad begged him to forgive his demoniac father who harassed him at every step throughout his life. So like that, in Kali Yuga, it's mentioned that the easiest process of serving Krishna is to chant his holy names. That's why anytime you come to any of our centers, we're always chanting. Because it says, Sevan mukhehi jivado swayam eva spuratyada. Service actually begins with the tongue. Tongue asana. This is the kind of yoga we practice. With the tongue, you can vibrate. The tongue usually is used only for vibrating, sound and tasting. So if we vibrate the sound vibration, the names of God, and you taste foodstuffs offered to Krishna, it's called prasad. Just by these two activities, you can actually conquer Krishna. This is the beginning of spiritual life. So all the things we discussed, it's not easy for an ordinary person. It's like this material world is rigged. It's a scary place. It's not, Maya is not an educational department. She is correctional facility. So illusory nature of this world is not here to enlighten us. So most people in this world you see, we're just in Maya. Means we don't know who we are, where we're coming from, what's the point of life, where are we going, what's good things happening to bad people, bad things happening to good people, what are the other planets. We don't know anything. which is living in darkness. Most people living like, frog in a well. And people are happy with it. But those who chant the names of Krishna, they'll be given special vision. You can see through the matrix, you can see through the maze, you can come out of it. This world is like a deep dark hole. Whoever falls in here, they just scream and die. But those who chant, especially in Kali Yuga, the names of Krishna, that's why it's called Maha Mantra. There are hundreds and thousands of mantras in the Vedic scripture. But the Hare Krishna mantra is called the Maha Mantra, which means it's the greatest of the mantra. So anybody who takes seriously this chanting and reading of the Bhagavad Gita, not any Bhagavad Gita, but an authorized version of the Bhagavad Gita. Before Prabhupada came to America, there was 250 editions of Bhagavad Gita already available. But there were not even one Krishna devotee, pure devotee. Like Prabhupada would joke, because people are translating Bhagavad Gita minus Krishna. What do people usually think of Bhagavad Gita? Oh, I know Bhagavad Gita. What do you know? Oh, but Krishna says, do your duty. It's finished. Krishna just wants to say, do your duty. Why did he speak 700 slokas? Bhagavad Gita will be like one sloka. So Krishna's, and duty is what? It could be anything, right? We manufacture ourselves. It could be a butcher, you can be this, you can be that, you can be a prostitute, anything. It's just your duty, your dharma. You have to, no, it's not like that. We have to actually read the Acharya's commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita and find out what is actually the message of Bhagavad Gita. Nobody talks about Krishna as a person who is asking for our love. Anyway, most people know this word, Sarva Dharman Parityaja Mam Ekam Saranam Raja. Krishna says, forget about everything that you think is right and wrong, and you surrender unto me, only to me. He says very clearly, Mam Ekam Saranam Raja. He doesn't say like, do, teen, char, panch. And then he says, Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Mokshesham Imasucha. Just like if you know the president, you don't need to flatter some local county police or something. You already know the main person. Like that, Krishna says, I will give you, I will back you up. Anything you need. I'll wipe out all your karma, all your sins. And I will make sure your life is blessed. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Partha Dhanurdhara, Tatra Sri Vijayo Bhuti Dhruva Niti Matir Mama. The Bhagavad Gita's blessings is that wherever there's Krishna and Arjuna, there is morality, there's victory, there's opulence, there's justice, whatever you want it. Why don't we take up this amazing offer? Usually we think of spirituality, we'll mainly talk about Kundalini, awakening, and chakras and auras, and what is all these things? That's not going to help us become free from samsara. It's a very serious, diseased condition we are in. So Krishna is saying, Sarva Dharman Parityaja. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also saying the same thing. And he showed us the path how to do it. He said, just chant this mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Veda Prabhu, do I have a minute to take question? Or anybody have anything to ask or anything to add? Any realization, comments? Yes, ma'am.
So what is the form of Krishna in Golokanda? How does it look?
Oh yeah, we were just reading about that yesterday. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, she just asked what is the form of Krishna in Golok Vrindavan. The Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually said, Aradhya Bhagavan Brajesha Tanaya Taddhama Vrindavan. There are like 5 things Chaitanya Mahaprabhu glorified. One of them, he said the most worshipable form of Krishna is Vrajesa Tanaya. That Krishna is in his Kaishora form, like 10 or 12 years old. It says that Krishna's form in Kurukshetra is there, his form in Mathura is there. But the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu glorified the most beautiful form of Krishna as this 12-year-old form of Krishna. It's called Kaishora Murti. It's a very advanced information are given here, because most people don't even know what God looked like. But here we are discussing, even among the forms of Krishna, which is the essence. So it's actually very fortunate. Yesterday, my wife and I were distributing books, and one guy just walked by, because I had a book displayed, teachings of Lord Chaitanya, and then he said, "Who is this Lord Chaitanya?" So we were so happy, this American guy just passing by. He perfected his life. That's the perfection of life. You take a moment to find out who is Chaitanya, who is Krishna, then there's such a blessing. Because most people can spend a whole life without even asking this simple question. Just like a whole year goes by without thinking about life. 10 years can go by. 50 years can go by. The whole life can go by. And we never asked any of this valuable question. Who's God? Who I am? How to serve? Anything else?
One question. So when we say Krishna, when we refer to Krishna as he, so are we talking gender?
When we say Krishna, what?
You say he. Krishna is he, right? Male gender. So is there gender in spiritual world?
Yeah, in the spiritual sense, he, there's only one he. It's called, the he and she in spiritual sense refers to the supreme enjoyer and the enjoyed. So he in the spiritual sense refers to the supreme enjoyer, and we are all enjoyed. So we are all designed, we are all created for the pleasure of Krishna. So in that sense, even in the spiritual world, there are gopas and gopis, but then both he and she are all for his pleasure. So he's the real he. We are all she in that sense. So Purusha and Prakriti. And when we combine, then the souls, the servants, enjoy more than the Supreme, it says. When you're in relationship, that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came. Because Krishna is wondering, what are these people getting by serving me so much? So Krishna was wondering. So he came in the role of a devotee to find out what's so special about seva. There's also another form of Krishna sucking on his own toe, lying on a banyan leaf. Because Krishna is there for thousands of years. The yogis and munis and rishis, the bhakta, they're all worshipping my feet. I want to taste what that dhuli, the charan, the dust tastes like. Why are they all mad after this? So he wanted to suck on. So like this, our real position is we are the enjoyed. And just by being in relationship with Krishna, we also enjoy so much. But to take his position, that's actually very sinful. It's like sometimes you see like children, they want to put their parents in an old age home untimely so they can take the father's home and bank balance and like that. That's not very pleasing to the parents. But if they serve nicely the parents, who they're going to give the property to, they will get it. So as long as we're in harmony, we have the right mentality, we're in the same wavelength, we are blessed. But if we go against, and we have this sinful mentality, that's why we are here in this world. we're not in harmony, we're creating disturbance. So material world is for people that are sinful mentality. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Jai, thank you so much for... you had a question?
Guru, thank you so much for the class. I appreciate when you said, bhakti is devotional service, and that we develop love for Krishna by serving, and we experience that in so many ways, even on material levels. Like, that's when parents become very in love with their children as they're serving them. And we can even see as we train our children to serve as well, that their love increases so much. Like that giving service is what gives us so much love for whom we're serving. And so I appreciated that.
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you.
It's actually a very basic philosophy, but it takes intelligence. To understand this, even though it's basic, you have to be intelligent. That's why Krishna calls it Buddhi Yoga. With some people, even in million births, that's why Krishna says, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit yatati siddhi. For some people it take like millions of births to just understand these basic points. So we are very fortunate that we can at least theoretically get it. Thank you so much. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare 10 years ago. Harsha used to be very active in the temple, and now he is back in Atlanta after moving away for 10 years, and we're very happy to have him back. So he wanted to sponsor the feast just so that he can have the blessings of the Vaishnavas. So all of you, can we all please raise our hands? We're going to pray to their lordships, Shushi Gaur Nitai, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Devi, and Radha Madan Mohan, for Harsha and his family. Together. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Just a brief announcement. Our Sunday school, for those of you who have children and would like to expose them to the Vedic culture and to the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, then we request you to please explore the possibility of putting them in the Sunday school. The Sunday school is run by very sweet devotees. They just do it out of service to Srila Prabhupada. They want to give the children a spiritual anchor when they go through life. If they have this, what is called the formative years of their lives, or the foundational years of their lives, it will really help them make good choices and give them spiritual character. So I request you to please see Urjeshwari Mataji. Can you raise your hand? This is Urjeshwari Mataji. You come and see her, and she will be able to connect you properly. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So please come and have the last darshan of the deities, and the prasadam will be served.